Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland. Streaming out live to Facebook and out to Late Night in the Midlands radio network tonight. And our guest is Gavin Kelly. He's got a new show coming out on Amazon called Into the Paranormal, or The Paranormal Journey Into the Unknown. Sorry. We had some technical difficulties getting him on. We wanted to get him on through Google Hangouts so you could see Gavin. But sadly, we were having technical issues. So we're going to call him back after the first commercial break and have him on the audio line on Skype. Hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing goes wrong with that. And of course, like what we always do every Sunday night is the World Wide Web of Weird. We will have call-ins to the show later, but there will only be one call-in line. That'll be the Soup Live Chat 800 Live Chat Skype ID. That'll be after the second break. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Be with you in just one sec. We are having all kinds of technical difficulties. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. My guest was having echoing issues he's never had ever before using Skype or Hangouts. It seemed to be there on Skype, but went away. So hopefully we don't have any issues with that. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Jason Bland. This is Paranormal Soup. Like I said before, we're streaming out to Facebook Live, and we're streaming out to Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. You can go to latenightinthemidlandsradionetwork.com and check us out there. They also are on TuneIn. You can listen to the show. We have music on that end that you don't hear on Facebook. And then, of course, joining us every Sunday night is our Paranormal Soup team. Who do we got with us tonight? Well, we got Jamie D. Let me make sure I get that up and running. Whoops, I think I got the wrong thing there. Yep, definitely have the wrong thing up. See, technical difficulties tonight. What is going on? How you doing tonight, Jamie?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Glad to have you. And also joining us, video engineer Jeffrey Chan is there with us. You can't see him. He'll be running the World Wide Web of Weird. Thank you, Jeff. And joining us from St. Augustine, Florida, Rob Autry himself. How you doing tonight, Jeff? Or Rob? Man, I see him really thrown off. Jeff Rob.
Hey, man, it's all good. It's all good.
I swear, if I don't get my setup and I have technical difficulties, it throws me off. Like the whole intro, everything. I'd even hit the wrong buttons.
It's all good. It'll go smooth from here.
Yeah, let's hope. Fingers crossed. All right, guys, let's go ahead and just get this rolling into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight in the World Wide Web of Weird, we're going to start out with some weird crop circleness here. This has been pretty viral. I actually got this one. I try not to read so much stuff from Coast to Coast AM because I had somebody comment and like, well, you're not on that radio network, so why are you making articles from it? But, this is the only article I could really find on it right now. This says, crop circle appears in UK from August 25th. You can find this on Coast to Coast AM. I am going to read a Coast to Coast AM article. All right, let's go ahead and share the screen here. Whoops, if I get the technical problems under control. Okay, first up, crop circle in the UK. This is really weird to me. With a crop circle season in the UK winding down, it would appear that the makers of, and I'm looking at it, Rob's not the crop circle. The crop circle season in the UK winding down, it would appear that the makers of the formation saved their best design for last, an eclipse-themed creation seemingly containing some kind of code. The remarkable formation was found just a few days before this past Monday total solar eclipse, and it seems to depict a breathtaking celestial event which captivated America. Although the eclipse theme has appeared on a number of crop circles so far this season, this particular formation has generated additional attention because it also contains a number of intriguing symbols. Considering that the event was considered by many to be a harbinger of the impending doom, the potential coded message shown of being a beam down from the eclipse has caught the attention of conspiracy theorists. Some have suggested that the symbols could be Latin or Hebrew characters, while others have posited that they are musical in nature. As of yet, no one has claimed to have decoded the message, which may be found in the formation, but one can assume that there are researchers currently studying the symbols in an attempt to decipher them. Of course, skeptics who say that the crop circles are entirely the work of mischievous humans will likely say that such an endeavor is a fool's errand. And they might be correct should the message be decoded and is revealed to be a clever ad or even a joke, which is a scenario not entirely out of the realm of possibilities. In fact, could be the most likely outcome. I think it's probably a hoax. Really clever one, really beautifully done, there's been other coded crop circle stuff. I don't know. I've always been up in the air about crop circles. I think there's something to them. I've heard plenty of people, that really, believe that there's something related to the aliens, that they're extraterrestrial, and I don't believe that two old farmers hoaxed all of it either. So I think there's something to crop circles, and if aliens were going to be giving us messages in the field, you'd think they'd start putting some kind of coding or messages more than just pictures. But some people say that's a code, the pictures in themselves. I don't know.
Do you see how it looks like how the grass almost looks like it's green, like already growing green, and the parts down the side here where the lines are, it's like already green, like growing back.
Might be. I don't know enough.
Or is that just
farming.
the blur of the?
Not sure. I'm not. No, it's definitely green.
I wonder how old that was.
Well, this was just recently. I mean, this happened. It's the end of the crop circle season or something like that.
But that's what they say. To me, that looks like someone that's been working on it, and part of it started to grow back. Like they started cutting parts of it, then the green starts growing back as they're finishing, so parts are going to be deader than, I don't know.
I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely part of the World Wide Web of weird.
Definitely.
All right, next one here comes from Unexplained Mysteries. We're going to move on to article number 2. This one's kind of scary to me. Mystery gas engulfs UK East Sussex coast. Dozens of people had to be treated in a hospital after mysterious haze appeared in the area on Sunday. The phenomenon, which caused streaming eyes and sore throat and nausea in at least 150 people who happened to have been outside at the time, descended on the south coast of England at the weekend. Authorities scrambled to identify the gas as residents were warned to stay indoors and close windows. According to the consultant toxologist, Dr. John Hoskins, the most likely explanation is that the gas was actually traffic pollution that had drifted across the English Channel from France or Germany. Seriously? Certainly it came across the channel because in a peculiar part of the country to get anything that was generated in even the nearest large town, Britain, he told the Sky News. It was the meteorological phenomenon. You have to know exactly how the wind blows. It seems the weather generally tends to push things into that part of the coast. The hot and sunny weather was also thought to have contributed to the problem. The effects of the phenomenon were even felt in towns as far as 20 miles away. So that bad from car pollution that they're saying that came down and started, gassing people.
It's all that gassy food they eat over there.
I don't know. I mean, if it's getting that bad, that's the stuff they talk about happening in China, the factories and how bad the air quality is, that they have, like warnings of dangerous air. I don't know if they've ever used the term gas, but man.
Humans, man, we're our worst own enemy.
Yeah, yeah, I don't even want to get into global warming crap, but I mean, I definitely, I argue with people on both sides of that issue. Because there's truth and falsehoods in both. Okay, yep. Let's move on. All right, this one creeps me out. I don't know what this thing is, and I'm sure somebody out there knows exactly what kind of a creature this is, but this comes from this is part of Unexplained Mysteries Cryptozoology page. A bizarre life form caught on camera in Taiwan. A strange creature made up of a tangle of black vines has been filmed thrashing around on the ground. The organism, which was recorded by Hong Milan in Hsinchu, Taiwan, totally butchered that, appears to consist of a mass of black vine-like appendages that are able to move independently of one another. And always put this here somewhere, plug in there for people listening on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. If you ever want to see these videos, the video of this is always on our Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup Facebook page. That's where we're live right now. And it also goes up to our YouTube channel, Paranormal Soup. Just type that into YouTube, you'll find the channel, or Jason Bland. And there's a World Wide Web of Weird playlist of all the stuff we play. You can watch it there. But let's get on. This organism in the video can be seen undulating and wiggling around in a highly disconcerting manner. I found this on the ground, and it caught my eye, said Hong. It was so strange, and people said different things about it, but I wanted to know what it actually was. One possible explanation is the creature is actually a tangled up mess of horsehair worms. Ooh. Worms and snakes, man. Ooh. Some internet users have taken it to describing it as an alien life form. I don't think it's alien. Like I said, I know there's somebody out there who's going to have an explanation. Maybe that's right there. They got the explanation. But man, that's creepy.
Okay, to me it looks like a close-up of like a wad of thread or crap in the ocean that the current is blowing it all, and it just looks trippy. Or it could be a mass of worms.
I go with the worm thing because, I mean, it looks alive. It looks like it's moving. I mean, it looks alive to me. Creepily alive.
I go for run,
yeah, I think I
Forrest,
just
run.
seen like a head.
Run,
It looks like.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. This one comes. I had a lot from Unexplained Mysteries. Didn't mean to. I didn't realize I did that. Real Life Matrix gets $27 million in funding. Elon Musk. We've talked about him a lot on the World Wide Web of Weird. He's a weird guy. Recent startup Neuralink is aiming to find a way to merge the human brain with a computer. The ambitious endeavor is understood to be focusing initially on what is known as a neural lace, a technology that can be woven into the brain to help enhance its functionality, as well to facilitate direct communication with a nearby device. Brain-computer interfaces are not a new thing, however. Those that exist already are relatively slow and limited in what they can achieve. If Musk succeeds, it could open the door to a more seamless integration between humans and machines. The San Francisco-based company has so far managed to raise $27 million in funding by selling stock. However, Musk has stated on Twitter that the firm is not looking for outside investors. Generally speaking, very little is known about Neuralink other than its goals to merge man with machine, and it's currently looking to recruit additional scientists and engineers. Whether it ultimately bring about a real-life version of the Matrix, however, remains to be seen. What I want to say about this is that, man, some of the richest, most powerful guys in the tech industry, you know, the head guy at Google, can't think of his name, Elon Musk, these guys are very much scary about transhumanism. Like, they want to meld us with machine. Put us in the Matrix. I don't like that idea. I really don't. I would be cool to play a virtual reality video game. I am a tech guy. I like that stuff. But I don't like when you say talk about a neural lace. I don't know.
Nah, I'm gonna pass.
I don't know.
I'm gonna opt out.
You know, if it starts to do stuff to the brain, you know, if you start messing with the brain, could it get addictive? You know, I remember a really awful Jim Belushi movie called Wild Palms, or Oliver Stone directed it. You remember that? It was a miniseries back in the 90s, and everybody is wearing these weird ties and stuff, and it's supposed to be what it was like, going to be like in the future. Jim Belushi was in it. It was really weird and confusing, but people got addicted, man, and it was like really messed up. And then of course, they got into the whole transhumanism thing because the guy who built the whole Neuralinks wanted to join the machine and become one with it and immortal. That's where, you know, are they going to try to push us into machines with all the end of the world stuff people talk about lately? You know, is this like the rich people's backup plan? You know, or they want to depopulate us, and their alternative is like, here, go into the machine.
They want to control all of us.
I don't know. It worries me how much these really powerful rich guys here want to like merge us with machine. You know, it's like, are you asking for Skynet? Are you asking for the Borg? You know, like
Umbrella company.
This is not Umbrella. You know, I mean, none of this is going to end up good.
No.
You know, I actually wouldn't mind having, I was saying the other day, a titanium body, but still have like my head and my brain. You know, when you start to ache and stuff, it's like, a titanium body don't sound so bad.
Hey, I would like to have you know, I can see the want to have a computer brain, like, you know, I can store stuff and instantly recall stuff because I have an awful memory. Obviously, you've watched.
Or
me
not a
forget.
computer brain, not mess with my head.
That's what I'd want because, you know, if I were to go down that path, because, you know, look at me. How many times have I forgot a guest's name or the book of their just last week, Ira's book? How many times did it take me I had to look to remember, and I feel awful. But I have like the worst like short-term memory. Tell me something. I can remember stupid, meaningless crap for a long time. But man, it's something I need to know right now. It happens when I get nervous.
Or just
my brain goes
upload
blank.
yourself. Like instead of explaining to somebody, like you can just like USB it like to them and just blah blah blah, and you don't have to like worry about explaining it all.
Yeah. It still seems scary. Okay, let's move on. Now, my favorite topic, and I need to get a good guest for this. I really do, is time travel. I love time travel stuff, and I would love to have a really good guest on time travel. Anybody's got a suggestion for that, you can email me at oojbland00@yahoo.com. Email me there if you got a guest, but please have a contact link or some way I can contact them because I want a good guest on time travel. I just need to do a show on time travel. All right.
I ain't got no pants on.
This is from the Daily Mail. In the 1930s, painting, and this is very viral, in 1930s, painting proof of time travel. Native American appears to hold a smartphone, even though it was painted several decades before they were invented. A Native American appears to stare at a smartphone on a mural of a colonial America that dates back to 1937, sparking theories it could be proof of time travel. The baffling painting by Mr. Pycon and the settling of Springfield shows a man in the foreground holding a 21st century technology, yet it depicts a scene from the 17th century. Intriguing figures has feathers in his hair and is wearing a white loincloth, but it's holding the mysterious object like it's a modern people hold smartphones. You know, I was just saying, there's so many of these time travel things that always involve people holding smartphones. You know, like the classic Charlie Chaplin movie. You know, it looks like an old woman holding a smartphone. It's like now that we have smartphones, we're finding them everywhere in these ancient pictures. Why would an Indian have a smartphone? Why would they put it in the picture? I don't know. Honestly, I mean, you can read this article on Daily Mail. It's a lot longer. I'm not going to go all into it, but you know, some of the theories are just common sense to me. Is that we're just misinterpreting something else. You know, some people say it could be a Bible that he was holding, like a small Bible, or it could be a mirror. Because a lot of these people never had seen a mirror before, and they like to give these things to the native people because they love to see the reactions to the stuff they've never experienced before, like mirrors. So some people think it's him looking in a mirror, and that, you know, like a small mirror. I don't know, but I will admit it does look like a smartphone.
It's an intergalactic communication device.
It looks like my smartphone. That's when I saw it because I have like a white case with a black back like that. I'm like, that's my cell phone. Travel back in time.
I've been here before, man.
Okay, last up on the World Wide Web of Weird is doing, Hurricane Harvey's been pretty awful. We have a lot of friends down in Texas. We're hoping things get better for them and they don't get screwed over with their insurance policies like other people have in past with certain hurricanes. But alien hunters are getting excited about this huge mysterious sphere, which they believe is a UFO emerging from Hurricane Harvey. This comes from the sun. NASA satellite footage appears to show what looks like shapes from an extreme weather phenomenon that devastated parts of the U.S. state of Texas. But one conspiracy theorist, Tyler Glockner, of course, believes the clip is proof that extraterrestrials live on Earth. He said, "Look at the massive cloud which appears out of nowhere. And it then takes shape of a horseshoe, right? And after that, we see a point of light which appears directly in the center of the horse-shaped cloud. I do have to say it looks very anomalous, and I've seen something quite like this before. As we play it frame by frame, and like I said, you can watch this on, I think Tyler's is what, Secure Team. Yeah, Secure Team 10, which there's a lot of critics of that channel. As we play it frame by frame, it does at the very least look like something strange happened there. I just put a picture up of it. You can see it circled there of the shape. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, they see, it does look like some kind of shape. You should watch the video. I didn't want to play the video. It's off of his channel. It's his recording. So check it out. I don't know. It does appear to be odd. It does appear to be something in the hurricane. Aliens making the hurricanes happen? I don't know. It's World Wide Web Weird, and that's all we got for the World Wide Web Weird. And we're going to go to a commercial break here now. When we get back, we're going to talk to Gavin Kelly about his new show, The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It's going to be on Amazon, coming out in October. So we're going to talk to him. I thought we were going to have his partner in crime on this. I'm not sure. We just have him, I think. We'll be calling him on Skype when we get back from the commercial break. All right, guys, be with you in a few minutes.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
The Late Night in the Midlands radio network is deeply devoted to you, the listener. We feel it is necessary to bring you all of the information that you can use in your life. Each and every day you will find something to listen to here. And whether you come away from the shows informed, inspired, or entertained, it is our passion. We don't bow to corporations, and we don't have handlers to tell us what not to talk about. We bring you everything. Late Night in the Midlands, however, is fully listener supported. We need your help to stay on the air and to make sure that we get the bills paid. We need your help to keep the truth alive. If you feel that you have gotten anything out of Late Night in the Midlands, we would appreciate your support. You can become a subscriber and help us out on a monthly basis, or if you'd like, a one-time donation is fully appreciated as well. Every year, the average household in America spends over $3,000 on entertainment alone. If you could help us with just a tiny fraction of that amount, you would make all of the difference. Go to latenightinthemidlands.com and click on the subscribe button. Thank you, and as always, keep yourself informed.
Realized I was talking and I had myself muted to the broadcast Facebook Live. Tonight's guest is Gavin Kelly. We're going to be talking about his show coming out on Amazon here. I'm calling him right now on Skype. Should be getting him on the phone here. Let's check. You there with us, Gavin?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, we're getting that echo. But it might go away. It went away last time. Seems like it's going away. Okay. All right. Thank you for joining us. Sorry for joining us. Oh, shoot. It's doing it. Dang it.
Uh-oh.
Test. Let's see. Now it doesn't. It's going to threaten it. As long as it goes away.
Weird. Yeah, that's just weird.
I know.
Wait, I think it might have went away.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Gavin. Hopefully we can get through this without any echo.
All right. Thank you for having us. I have Paula right next to me.
Oh, awesome. I wasn't sure if she was joining or not. That's awesome. How you doing tonight, Paula?
All right. How are you?
Doing great. Glad to have you both on tonight. I didn't get a chance to read a bio. I want you guys to go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourselves. I don't know if, Gavin, you want to go first?
I will let Paula do it.
Okay. Paula, you are up.
Well, I've been involved in this group, paranormally investigating for about 5 years now. Personally had experiences and kind of not really working with the field, but since I was 14, my mom was a historical researcher, and she had we've been doing first genealogy, and then once we turned it into genealogy to historical places, and wherever Mom went, I went because I was the only child. And basically, of course, I'm the historical and researcher of the group. So I kind of fell into the same trances of my mom doing the same thing, and she was part of the local historical society in our town, and we wore many hours on different fields of things that she was involved in, and that kind of got me pulled into doing the historical research part. As far as the paranormal experience, we went to different locations, we had gotten some of my first ones were when I was about 14 years old or 15 years old, and we were in different locations, and I had gotten personal experiences, and one of them felt an uneasy feeling, and I told Mom, hey, I'm ready to go, I'll meet you up back at the vehicle, and of course by that time, college came through, and kids, family, and all that stuff, so I kind of threw it at the back of my head until I had my own house fire back about 7 years ago.
Oh, that's awful.
And after I had the house fire, of course, it was not, completely, gutted out type situation. It was retained to one part of the house. But because we had to remodel everything and repaint everything and, fix different things, it caused a stir up inside the house. And so we ended up having some experiences and some unexplained events. Everybody thought I was crazy, and finally had to convincing that, and I started talking to Gavin about it. And Gavin's like, well, let's, he did some research, and he'll go into more details about his part of the deal on the house. But that's what got me to turn back on into the paranormal. I mean, I've never forgot about it. It's just, time over matter of, you got things coming in front of you that you don't really pay attention to anything else that goes around you until something actually really happened. And then basically that's got into.
Wow.
Yeah. How old was the house, if I missed that?
The house was built actually it's 100 years old this year. October 1917 is when the house was completely finished and built and ready to be moved in. And then, of course, the house has had several different kind of modifications done to it. I mean, it's been added on. It's been a lot of the old stuff, which we didn't know it really existed until we started remodeling. Because of the house fire, we noticed some of the older stuff because we've had to replace so much stuff, and it had cloth wiring, so we had to upgrade electrical and everything in it, and so we had to bring the house up to code and everything. So
I swear, I want to say when you just even somebody in an old house like that, and you start just like repainting and taking the old paint off the wall, and you find the old wallpaper, you find older paint on the wall below that. It's like peeling away the history.
Yeah, well, it was not even that. I mean, the house was built inside the house. When they extended the house, it had the old fan siding where you had the decorative little fan. I call it the little fan decor around the edges of the roofing, and we didn't realize what it was until afterwards. And then kind of find out when I started doing the complete history research on the house, kind of find out that the house was part of the land it set on was part of a bigger area of a plantation house, in which the plantation house is only 2 doors down from me. The house still exists. It's about 175 years old.
Actually, I missed it. This is, what state are you in?
In Kentucky.
Kentucky, that's right. I missed that part. And so this house was in Kentucky, over almost 100, well, now 100 years old.
Yeah, my house is 100 years old. The plantation house that's 2 doors down from me is about 175.
Yeah, I'd say it'd have to be older. Now, Gavin, I didn't know if you want to, jump in here and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into, for Paula, I've known a lot of paranormal investigators that got into this through the historical route. It seems that it leads to that. When you start doing a lot of genealogy research and getting history, it seems to really lead you to the interest of the paranormal, because things happen when you start looking into these things.
Right. Well, for me, you're going to laugh. There was one day I was just totally bored out of my mind, and I just started flipping through all the TV channels. And I came across Ghost Adventures. And I'm like, oh, this is cool, so I'm going to watch it. So I started watching the show, and I got to 3 episodes in, and Paula told me that they were having some weird stuff happening at her house. And I'm like, well, like what? And she said, well, there was one time they heard a ball bounce down the hall, and everybody kind of looked out from the doors going, what the heck was that? And they heard the ball bounce down the hall, but you know what? There's no ball in the house. Ooh. Who bounced the ball? Ooh. And besides that, there was old lady perfume that lingers from the dining room and just makes its way down the hall and then dissipates. Things were getting moved from, if you go ahead and put your keys down on the dresser, next thing you know, it ends up in the living room. Just different things like that. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of odd. I go, I've been watching a show that kind of deals with that. So I wound up contacting Aaron Goodwin on Twitter, and we became friends after that. Oh, wow. And I told him what was going on, and I go, what should I do? And I kid you not, he said, just do what we do. So I'm like, okay, can you be a little more precise? He goes, all right, do you have a night vision camera? I'm like, yeah, I've got a Sony High 8 Handycam. He goes, okay, that's good. He goes, do you have a digital recorder? I go, well, I've got one when I was in college. He goes, okay, that's good. You need to look up, get yourself an EMF detector. I go, EM what? And he goes, yeah, you need to do some research on that and find yourself a detector. So I wound up looking up the Ghost Meter Pro, and that was the first EMF detector that we got. And the reason I got it is because it's highly sensitive. And we used that, and I was like, okay, well, I got this stuff. I've got some of the other stuff, and I told Paula, I go, we're just going to have to investigate your house. And she's like, what? So sure enough, we did an investigation, and there was an instance when going through the hallway, just snapping pictures with a digital camera, and we captured an apparition of a little boy on the view screen of the Sony High 8. And the funny thing is the video camera is facing inside the bedroom, so all you can see is night vision inside the bedroom. That's it. Nothing on the video even showed this apparition, but it showed up on the view screen at that split moment, which was really bizarre. And then, of course, we got some EVPs. One was Leave Me Alone, and the other one was Get Out.
Well, those are classic EVPs. I've gotten those same exact responses.
Oh, yeah. But what we found out is that there was a little boy here that died of whooping cough. He was 5 years old, and he lived here with his dad, and believe it or not, they were both still here. He's a grumpy old man. The little boy's name is Freddie, and we got the name Frederick across EVP, which was really phenomenal. It was awesome.
Yeah, when you get a name, that's like some of the best validation, especially when you can go to the history and go, well, there's the name. You know, this was the little boy that lived here, and we got that on EVP. That's like the best. I've gotten that too, and it's like, I'm an EVP addict, and I love validation like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But the funny thing is with Freddie is Paula's brother-in-law was sitting on the couch, and he was watching a Western on TV. Well, he gets up to go to the refrigerator to get himself a beer, comes back, NASCAR's on.
Yeah, he changed the channel.
He wanted to watch NASCAR?
Yeah, pretty much. He changed the channel.
What was on before NASCAR? I missed that. What was he trying to watch?
A Western.
He was having a Western.
Western. You think you'd want to watch the Western? I guess the Uncle Old Man wanted to know what's going on with NASCAR.
Probably, but it was just really odd, and things kind of simmered down when after we did the investigation and stuff. But yeah, it was all due to the house fire. It uprooted a lot of stuff. I mean, if she didn't have that house fire, I'm pretty sure that none of this stuff would have happened because of all the renovating, of rebuilding, rewiring, and just tearing stuff up. That usually ramps activity.
Gavin, I have to ask you, I'm always interested in other paranormal investigators' theories. What do you think? What causes? Why does remodeling or doing a new paint job or repairing a house that's been that had a fire? What do you think that stirs things up?
The idea or the theory that I have is we'll go ahead and use a different location, kind of like an office building.
Okay.
And, they're actually renovating it. They're tearing walls down. They're building more offices and things like that. I believe that back in their time, this was their house or this is their dwelling. And we are actually invading their private space. In other words, we are doing modifications to what they originally had. And the reason why the activity stirs up is because they're like, hey, you're in my house. What are you doing? Quit. Stop. You're ripping out walls where they actually had, when they were alive, that wall was there. They had their picture on the wall. They had their loved ones up on the wall. Or maybe there is a mantle or something that's next to the wall, and they just gut all that. You're basically taking away their history, and it kind of pisses them off. You agree?
It's all about change.
Yeah, it's all about change.
Yeah, dude, look, I always thought the best example of that that kind of theory put across was the movie Others with Nicole Kidman. Where the people, are moving into her house and, she thinks they're ghosts, and it always makes you wonder, is that what they think of us? Do they think, are they scared of us? Think we're the ghost?
Yeah. Well, we did a ghostology thing, when was it? Last year at the Benton Library, and I proceeded to tell everybody that was in there, I go, okay, well, here's the deal. We are actually inside someone's farmhouse. And they're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, think of it that we are actually in their farmhouse. It got knocked down, flattened, and a library got built in this place. But those people that actually lived in that farmhouse maybe died there, or if they didn't die there, this is their dwelling. They love their house, so they're going to be there. I go, here's the idea. We are actually in their place, and they are looking at us. We can't see them, but they can see us, and we are in their plantation, even though it is a library. And they're like, oh, okay, we kind of get it now.
And I always have had a vivid imagination. Whenever I go on an investigation, I can't help, in situations just like that one, but picture, I always picture in my mind, what it would be like, what they're seeing if if it was a barn, for them, and it's an office building for us. I always picture in my mind. I can't help it. My imagination goes wild like that they must be seeing it like that. So you think that too? Yeah,
exactly.
Now,
kind of crazy.
Yeah. So when you started your first investigation, into Paula's house, you said you got the EVPs, you got the stuff. One of the things I find is when you also, of course, remodeling and all that amps up activity, but I also find when you bring in a paranormal team and start asking questions towards it, it amps it up even more. Did you guys kind of experience that, like things amped up after that even more?
It did for a little while, and then we noticed that a lot of stuff can produce off of negative energy. And once we got rid of some of the negative energy in the house, things started piping back down again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how did you get rid of the negative energy? What did you do?
Her ex-husband left.
Well, I swear that there's a lot of, what you say there. I've seen that. I've seen evidence of that. Certain people with their energy can make things amp up in an area. in different ways, different ways.
He was full of negativity.
So we got the ex-husband out of the house, and things kind of calmed down, but you still had paranormal activity after that.
Oh, yeah, and every once in a while we have a flare-up. I mean, certain things, like we, move furniture around in the house or make a little, do a little change in the house, or if nothing else, certain times of the year, like if we're going to put Christmas up, if we're getting ready for the holidays of different, I mean, there's certain things that trigger points, like if we're coming back from an investigation, we basically, we
bring something home.
Well, we bring something
ghost contamination is what I call it. You start investigating, going into all these different places, and we all know as investigators, I'm sure now doing this long enough, that these things can follow you home. People think, oh, I'm at the cemetery, or I'm at this haunted house, I can cuss at them and do what I want and insult them, and then they're just going to stay right here. They're not going to follow me home. Wrong. They can. So have you had
unless you bind them to that location where they can't follow you home?
True. There's a lot, and everybody's got their different rituals and practices. Do you guys do? You talk about binding them. Do you guys do stuff to protect yourselves before you go in on an investigation?
I mean, so we pray before we go do an investigation, and we pray after we get done with an investigation, to where we always ask for God's protection, and then we also state that anything that is there to stay there and not to become friends with us and follow us home and torment us for about 3 or 4 days before they decide to run off. But
yeah, fist bump for the big man.
Yeah.
So now, after doing her house, you obviously got the paranormal bug, as I call it. So you just started, would you form a team and decide we're going to go out now and do this at other people's houses or at historical locations? What happened?
Well, what happened is after we did that investigation here at her house, I compiled it all together and created a video and put it out on YouTube so I can have, peer review, have people actually watch the video and say, yeah, you actually did capture something. That's pretty cool, good capture. And I figured, well, I'd just do that just to see what happened. Well, got contacted by a producer in South Haven, Mississippi, and he's like, I really like your video, and I like what you guys are doing. And I'm like, okay. He goes, I'd like to sign you to my network. I'm like, oh, okay. What do you want us to do? He goes, I want you to make more episodes. I go, what you guys did is really cool. I noticed that you were going from room to room to room. You were not sitting in a room asking, the generic questions. Are you here? Can you make a noise? Make your presence known, stuff like that. And he goes, I really like what you guys are doing, and I think that you guys could have an awesome opportunity to have a show on my network. So that show a long time ago actually included her ex-husband and my ex, and it was called The Phantasmic Ghost Hunters, and we had 13 episodes. And that network, we gave them 44,000 plus viewers.
Wow.
And Amazon caught wind, and after we did some crew changes, got rid of her ex, got rid of my ex, so now it's just me and her and our camera guy, or camera guys, depends on if they're able to come out with us due to their schedules. But we started the new show, which is the Paranormal Journey into the Unknown, and this one is actually going to release Halloween of this year, and then every Saturday after that we're going to have new episodes come out, because we are going to be part of the new original series for Amazon.
Yeah, and that, there's a lot of people. I'm doing this since 2008. I've met a lot of people into the that are paranormal investigators, and I've met some that have tried to get a show, and they do good stuff, and it's not easy. So you guys, you have to admit, you got kind of lucky. I mean, most people don't get noticed that quick. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's like the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's a gamble, but it's a rarity too.
Yeah.
I was shocked And I was not looking to have a show. I was not looking to actually go to a network or anything. All of a sudden, it just went right in my lap, and hey, we ran with it.
And that's probably what got you, because you weren't trying to make a show. You were trying to put something together that people could see and peer review and give their opinion on the evidence. And to me, that's most interesting, is the evidence. That's what I'm into on a paranormal show. Is I love the evidence. This is what they catch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care about, they'll throw in drama and stuff sometimes with these different shows they've done in the past. And they script stuff, and it's just like, I don't care about any of that. Get to the actual investigating and the evidence. I want that. That's what I've always wanted from every paranormal show I've ever watched.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Fluff.
Yeah, no fluff.
And one of the things that I'm going to bring up about with evidence and stuff is me and our video editor, who's also an executive producer, Joe Vitale. We will actually go over the evidence with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, we will get something like, here's an example. Old South Pittsburg Hospital. He hit me up. He's like, dude, I think we got a shadow. And I watched the video, and all of a sudden a shadow shows up in the doorway and it disappears. So that's all he said was, dude, there's a shadow. So what we wound up doing was he started working on his end, I worked on my end, and we were doing filters, we were lightening, we were darkening, we were sucking the light out, changing different things, inverting. I mean, we were going back and forth for hours until we finally found out what it was. It was Paula walking down the hallway, running the DVR cable, went around, stopped in the doorway, and it went around the other way.
And
now,
that's
see,
awesome.
if anybody was watching that, they would have been like, oh, that's an apparition. You caught it. But see, with Joe and I, we actually went through and just tore it up to make sure. We wanted to make sure that we can debunk that, because we do not want to be eaten alive when it comes out.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you've seen, I shouldn't name shows, but there's certain shows. I can think one from the UK that has put out stuff that they just get ripped to shreds every time they do, because there's always I've looked at it and go, okay, that's not paranormal, and you don't want that as an investigator. For me, when I got into this, I had a lot of people in my group that were like, let's do a show, and I thought about that, and it just wasn't me. I want to talk. If I'm going to talk about the paranormal, that's my kind of show. When I do investigations, it's just not what I want to do, is try to put on a show. But I do like watching them. And I want to know the evidence is legit. And I've had trouble with some. Because I just don't think they give it that, like you said, that fine-tooth comb to it.
Yeah, you have to. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of people just ripping you to shreds. And yes, I know which one you're talking about. That was really the guy that was the quote-unquote apparition going up the stairs, because if you look at it closely, it was the same guy's jacket.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's other ones. I mean, not just that. There's also the blatant, hoaxing. I mean, just blatant hoaxing on that show.
Yeah, I'm constantly seeing a lot of videos that are coming out, and I just go ahead and put my 2 cents in, and I've been in the visual effects world because I had my own visual effects company a long time ago when I lived in Nashville. So I know all about chroma key. I know about the green screen suits, and I've debunked so many videos.
I went to school for film and
that's what it is.
Graphics. I know exactly too. There's the class. The one that drives me nuts is the one where the stuff's being thrown around in the kitchen, and it's a total green screen suit guy doing it. It's so awful, but it looks good. I understand people that don't know anything about that stuff are like, oh my god, that's paranormal, and it's so not.
Or they can hide the fishing line.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, not the one that's in the kitchen. That one is all done with fishing line.
Well, that's the fishing line one. There's one. I know which one's done with the fishing line that's in the kitchen. There's another one. There's another one similar to that where the guy did it with in a green screen suit. Because it came out later. They showed what it looked like with him in the green screen suit. It's like, jokes on you people. I know
the one that I know of is the little girl at the table with the paper and the stapler.
Oh, yeah. I showed that, and we called that out as fishing line.
Well, no, that was a green screen.
That was green
because
screen?
You actually, was a green screen suit.
Was she Asian? In that
video?
video?
The reason why if you watch it frame by frame, you'll actually see a heat signature, kind of like when you're standing behind a jet and you can see that haze, heat signature. You see that for a split second. So that means the lighting changed. And I figured out that's what it was.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. You know, I've seen all kinds. There's a lot of it, and it's just like, it's not just the paranormal ghost-related field. It's the Bigfoot, it's the UFO. They're all viral, internet, clickbait. Let's just show some crap to get people to click
People
to our
jumping
website.
over cars, like doing these flips over 50 cars. It's like, no, and landing on their feet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. So doing this show now, you know, you're going to be coming out on Amazon in October, end of October. You know, there's been a lot of ghost hunting shows. Are you trying to take it? I mean, besides, you know, making sure you're going with the evidence with a fine-tuned comb, you know, to make sure it's legit, is there anything else you're doing that you think is going to be different than a lot of the other ghost hunting shows out there?
Well, one of the things I'm going to go ahead and point out, the reason why I watch all the shows is so that way I know what not to do. But what we do on our show is it's kind of like a documentary style. We go ahead and deal with a lot of history. We dwell with the history. We go into investigating. And the thing is, if we don't get anything, then we're going to do the whole episode on basically the history of the location so that way our viewers can actually be like, hey, they didn't get anything, but maybe my team might. I mean, this is a great location. I really want to go see what we can get there. And we're not going to get something every freaking time we go do an investigation because there's not a ghost that's going to be at a time clock going, hey, Bill, I'm working today, you know?
Had a little visitor. My son came downstairs for the first time in 2 years. Sorry.
Wow.
So I missed a little bit of that. I apologize because I had to kick him out of the studio.
Okay. What part did you hear?
Well, my brain's going blank now because he was totally in there. I'm like, go upstairs. What I want to get to, one of the things that you talked about, you know, the history. Getting into history. I've seen so many shows that just skip the history. They do a little bit, or they get it completely wrong. You find out how wrong they get it.
That's my pet peeve right there.
Wrong history?
Wrong.
Me too.
History.
Oh, yeah.
That's my major pet peeve. I'd be like, why do you just, based off of what someone says, I take everything that is said to me and use it as like a grain of salt. And then I go ahead and take a little bit of what they gave me and find out if it actually is true or if there's more story to the what's being said.
Yeah, because there's a lot of locations out there that, I mean, the way I go ahead and explain it is, say, like, I have a house, 1800s, okay? It's a boring house, but there's a tree in the backyard. I'm going to say people were hung on that tree. A couple years later, that story gets out. There were people hung on the tree. Okay. Someone got shot on my porch, died. So we got people hung on a tree, shot on the porch. Decades later, I mean, you're going to hear that became a hanging tree. They hung 14 people. There's 12 people buried in the backyard. 6 people were shot on the porch. 2 committed suicide. 4 were murdered. 1 was thrown out a window. So this becomes like a major haunted house.
Right.
And none of that crap happened. And there's a lot of locations that do, and marketing on it, especially one I know off the top of my head that marketing off a fictitious character. They even have their email in that person's name, and that person does not exist. Second of all, Mr. Winters was shot and killed instantly on the porch. There's no way that he dragged his lifeless body across the parlor floor and up the steps and died on the 17th step. First of all, if he was shot, all the blood would have went through the carpet, through the wood. It doesn't matter what you do. It's still going to come back up no matter how many years away.
Oh, yeah.
If you replace the carpet, it's still going to come up. There's nothing there. He was shot
like
and killed.
Like a game of telephone when you're a kid and you play the game of telephone, and then it changes over time, the stories.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you have any idea of the location I'm talking about?
Mr. Winters, I'm trying to think. No.
Myrtle's Plantation.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've never been there. I mean, I've seen plenty of documentaries on it.
Yeah, Chloe doesn't exist. There's no record of her birth certificate. There's no record of her death certificate.
So they really made that up.
Oh, yeah. They made up a lot of stuff. And then, of course, there's other
picture.
places.
There's that infamous picture. It's supposed to be the slave girl. You think that's completely hoaxed?
Well, they're saying that's quote-unquote Chloe.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say the place is not haunted, but it's it's haunted under the wrong circumstances.
Yes. Not by Chloe.
I mean, the records show one story, and what they're telling is something else.
Yep.
Put it that way.
And there's a bunch of other places that are doing that as well.
And I've noticed that some of them that does do investigations in places and locations, a lot of the owners only go by what the neighbor has told them or what the previous owners have told them. We've actually came into a couple of locations. I did the background research, and I'm one of those that even after the episode is done and everything, I give them a copy of what I've done. And I'm not one of those that sits down for 2 or 3 hours and does research. I don't want
You do. You drive yourself nuts doing research.
I said I'm not one of those that just sits down for 2 or 3 hours. I'm talking about days. I'm talking about weeks. I'm talking about months.
Yeah.
Months.
Yeah.
I put it this way. I don't watch TV.
We don't have a TV.
No, we don't.
We don't have time to watch TV.
Well, you seem like you do, but I don't.
Yeah, right.
So,
But, yeah.
So you guys did investigate Myrtle's, though? Went there and did it?
Well, no, I didn't investigate Myrtle's, but I would. You know how you ever hear a story and you just kind of feel like there's red flags in that story?
Lots.
That's like, that stuff doesn't add up. I mean, we've been to a couple of locations where stuff was told, and I'm like, it just does not add up. I mean, there's just too many red flags in something. So here I go dissect. And I have dissected a couple of locations we've never been to yet, because the fact is, you've heard the story, you've heard this, you've heard that, and I'm like, this just doesn't sound right, especially when it comes to the time area that they're talking about, or the location that they're talking about, and it said, this happened at this time period, blah, 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 and I'm like, there's no way it could happen at that time period, because this happened on, the Revolutionary War didn't start to this time period and this time period, and what they're talking about was 20 years after the Revolutionary War, so there's no way this situation happened at this location, because the time frame's wrong. And and everybody blames everything on the Indians and everything.
Oh yeah.
And
I've seen that.
And it's just interesting that some of the stories that you're just like, the paranormal world, when it comes to historical part, can be actually a comic relief to a certain extent.
Oh yeah. I say what reminds me when you talk about that, we've had Denise Pridemore on here from Paranormal Pride. She's a radio show host, researcher, investigator, and she's the historian with the Sally House. Oh, do look at her.
Yeah, I know who she is.
Oh yeah, she's a friend of ours.
Yeah, we've been on her show too.
And like you, she found out, she saw a lot of red flags in the Sally House story. I love having her on a show to talk about it, because that's something I've always been interested. You saw it on all these other shows, and the Pickmans and their story. And I've had them both. I've had Denise and the Pickmans on, and to hear the real truth of the story and the real history that Denise has researched. It's just like, what are these shows thinking when they put this stuff out?
It's just an entertainment factor, and
Well, it's just like a couple of locations that we were at. The owners were actually thankful and gratitude, because they were going by what was told to them on the, like we had talked about earlier about the previous, owners or local people have told, blah, blah, this. And they were like, well, we're going based on this and based on I was in this location and I was witness, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And when I went through and some of his, I mean, we had one location we were at that the guy was like, could not figure out. He had some open-ended questions on stuff that he found out that he couldn't get an actual answer of. I had stuff that I had found out that I had open-ended questions on, and between his stuff and my stuff, we ended up putting it together and finally figuring out the answers of something that actually did happen there, because based on information he had and based on information I had. And he was very thankful and very gratitude on the fact that between our heads, we finally figured out exactly what happened at this location.
Now, you guys, you seem like, you've done a lot of big places for the show now. Do you guys do residential cases, or is it mainly like historical locations?
Mainly historical locations. We don't really do residential. I try to stay clear of residentials. I mean, we do a couple of, like, people come to us and we try to explain to them what they can do in their house and all that stuff without us personally being there. A lot of people come to us that have no clue, Oh,
yeah.
We have this going on. I was like, well, what about you take a camera? You have a 35 millimeter camera. You have a camera on your phone. Take some pictures. I mean, and I teach them how to take, because a lot of times when you have strangers come into an environment, you might not get the same experience as the homeowners or the people that live there. And then again, at the same time, you might have generated more activity. Or, I mean, personally, I don't like to interfere with, I know I'm there to, I try to help them from abroad, but I personally feel very uncomfortable going to someone's private location and try to do an investigation, because one of two things is going to happen. You're going to be able to help get them answers, but at the same time, if it's a subtle activity that, like, for instance, like my house fire caused us to have more activity after we investigated, we ended up having a whole lot more activity going on for a little while. I don't want to have to, especially if there's children in the location, I don't want to have to make it to where a child can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
And I just, I felt very uncomfortable, especially we did do, in the past couple of years, we did do one residential because the lady begged me, because she knew me personally and she didn't want strangers in her house.
Well, and besides that, we actually get taken advantage of too.
Well, that
like Grandview.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one that we did over here close to us.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting
That
one.
was a very, very interesting, and it was personal too, because the fact is I knew the person that had committed suicide.
Oh yeah.
And I did do that residential, and after I did that residential, I told Gavin, I'm not doing another private one, because that one was just too much, because we had gotten so much evidence from that night. And then, of course, 5 months after we did that investigation, they ended up moving out of that house. That house is still sitting empty to this day. Because, one, the situation of the house alone, it was falling apart. Two, they couldn't handle living there, and things kept happening. They could not live a normal life. And basically, the gentleman that had committed suicide in the house was still in the house. He wouldn't move on.
I know I do residential cases. This is the reason why I don't do a TV show with it. People are like, why don't you show video footage or stuff? I've played EVPs, I've gotten residentials and stuff, but it's like, this is somebody's home, and I have to be very careful with what I do there. And what I, one, that's always confidential, and two, I'm dealing with a lot of times like stuff you're talking about. These people are living in it. I'm trying to find a way to help them, and I'm not doing a TV show. So that's why I asked. It's like, doing a TV show, I respect the ones that are doing historical locations, getting into history, but the ones that do residentials, they got to be really good at it.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you don't want to go just stir things up. You don't want to go
okay,
just see you guys later.
Hey, see you guys later.
We're getting that echo.
Yeah.
We're getting that echo.
Huh.
It comes back with a vengeance.
Yeah,
It comes back with a vengeance.
What happened when I'm talking about people taking advantage of us is I had a lady send a picture to me. They said they just bought this house in Grandview, Indiana, and they were just taking pictures of the inside of the house after they got done putting all the furniture in and everything. And they just started taking pictures so they could like send them to their friends. So like, hey, look, this is our new house. Well, they got a picture of an apparition that was down the hall in the doorway with no head.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
the husband was a cop, said that he did the research and stuff through police history and told us that there was a man that was distraught, took a shotgun and blew his head off. And this was the guy that was there, and that was his room. So we basically went by that picture, and by his history, I'm thinking to myself, going, well, you know, he's a cop. Why would he lie? So we actually went up there, and we did an investigation. And what we uncovered was really weird. We use a Furby in our investigation because we like to see if we can communicate with children. And
Right.
a Furby only interacts with something that interacts with it. So if you talk to it, if you play with it, then it will play back. But if you leave it in a room by itself and it's talking and singing and dancing, then something is manipulating it. And the reason why I say this is because we had the Furby sitting on a chair with the Ovilus 3. And the Ovilus went ahead. Actually, the Furby talked first and went, ah, like that. Ovilus said, human?
Like it didn't
And
know. Is
then
this
the
a human?
Yeah. And then the Furby goes, what's your name? And then it said, Satan. This was in the basement. So I was like, oh, okay, time to go. So Paula went upstairs, she's in the bedroom, and the bedroom is just really, there was a weird feeling in
There
there.
was a weird vibe in that bedroom.
And she started reciting stuff from the Bible. And the Ovilus was going nuts. It was saying harvest, souls, death, reaper. And I went ahead and created a paranormal triangle in the room with devices. And while she was reading scripture, they were all going off.
Yeah, we had the Mel meter. We had the Periscope 360. We had, what else did we have there?
Let's see. We had the Ghost Meter Pros. We had the Mel meters. We didn't have the Periscope then.
No, but we
Those
had,
are new.
No, but we did have.
We had the Mel.
We had borrowed one. Remember, they had it over. We had it in the closet.
I don't know. It was a Ghost Meter Pro.
Was it?
I had a Ghost Meter Pro in the closet, and I made a triangle, another Ghost Meter Pro, 2 Mel meters, and something else. I forgot what the other one was. Oh, the Phantom Vibe. And they were all going off when she was reading scripture. And then all of a sudden, when she stopped, they went right out.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, we got to come
But
up on
here's
our... Oh, go ahead.
Huh?
No, go ahead.
Oh,
What were you
well, say, after that investigation was over, we were going through all the evidence and stuff, and that pictures really was bugging me, you know? Come to find out, it was done with a ghost app. A friend of mine actually
I've seen
found
that.
the exact person.
Mm-hmm.
It was a man in a top hat that they went ahead and just
Yep.
basically faded the head, but the body was there,
Yeah.
and it was a man in the top hat.
I've had so
I
many
was
of those.
so-
I've had people do that to me. Like, we got this ghost picture, and I'll be like, mm-hmm. And I have, you can get a library of a lot of these photos they use, and you can go through it and find it. There's still more, though. There's more apps and stuff, so it's hard. But you can find a lot of these photos. I mean, there was one here in town that was going viral in my hometown, saying this was taken at our hospital. I grew up in that hospital for 17 years, so I knew right away it wasn't our hospital because I knew the rooms. I knew what all the rooms look like. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with the hospital.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not one of the rooms in that hospital. And it was totally, they shared a picture from somebody else who made a ghost app and tried to say it was taken in our hospital. I'm like, nope. I recognized right away the little child in it. He's from a ghost app. Like,
I've been able to recreate those too. I saw one where they had this face in a window. I'm like, oh, heck no. I know exactly, boom, 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 where they got that one, and I recreated the same exact thing.
yeah, I see that way too much. All right, well, we do have a commercial break. When we get back, we will open up our Skype line for people to call in and ask you guys questions. But when we get back, I would like to talk more about some of the places you've investigated, some of your favorite investigations, some of your favorite evidence when we get back from commercial break. All right, guys, we'll be back. You can listen to the music that we're playing on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network, but you'll hear quiet on Facebook's end. And then when we come back, we'll talk with Gavin Kelly and Paula Purcell about their investigations into the paranormal, their journey into the paranormal or into the unknown. All right, guys, we'll be with you in just a few minutes.
Ben Franklin said, if you do the same thing tomorrow as you did today, you're going to get the same tomorrow as you got today. Changing the world starts with you, and changing you starts with changing the way you think. Late Night in the Midlands can help. Listen to all of our shows at latenightinthemidlands.com, because things really do need to change.
If you find yourself angry over the wealth gap and the way the financial system and banks are set up, or you find yourself looking for non-genetically modified foods because you refuse to consent to being a science experiment to Big Bio and Big Chem, or perhaps you have abandoned your trust in government and religion altogether, then you might be an RDS, a radical danger to society, otherwise known as a terrorist. Other possible terrorist activities include, but are not limited to, taking pictures, coughing, sneezing, wheezing, smiling, not bathing, listening to the secret teachings, asking questions to authorities, distrust in authority, owning a gun, reading history books, reading non-Keynesian economic books, listening to Late Night in the Midlands, turning off your television, going outside, water purification, having goosebumps, laughing, wearing jeans, purchasing ammunition, purchasing medical supplies, listening to Open Eyes Radio, purchasing bulk food, noticing geoengineering trails, refusing to pay back your student loans, informing others, breathing, listening to the Red Pill reality show, blinking, thinking, farting, choking, and sleeping. Other forms of terrorism include disassociation with all political parties, protesting, freely speaking your mind, freely expressing your opinions, and in some cases that are extremely severe, paying with cash, being concerned about food, water, vaccines, and believing that the medical industry and military run tests on unsuspecting citizens regardless of the evidence to prove its existence. If you don't want to be an RDS, a radical danger to society, then turn on your television, get a credit card, buy the 13th season of Honey Boo Boo on Blu-ray, get fast food for dinner, and stop purifying your water and looking for clean food, or you may be diagnosed with orthorexia nervosa too. For more ways to become an RDS, a radical danger to society, simply tune into the L&M Radio Network, now 24 hours a day.
tonight we are talking with Gavin Kelly and Paula Purcell. They are paranormal investigators. They are stars of a new show that's going to be coming out in October on Amazon, Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. We're going to talk about their investigations, where they've been. They do a lot of historical locations, and we're talking about the evidence they got. All right, guys, be with you here in just a sec. All right, Paula, Gavin, you guys still there with us?
Yep, we're still here.
Awesome. So I was mentioning it right when we came back from the break. You guys do a lot of historical locations. Tell us a little bit, some of the places you've gone. Tell us about your favorite ones where really things got maybe intense or creepy or really good evidence.
Well, I'll tell you what. We just got done going to the Monroe House in Hartford City, Indiana, and this place was totally cool.
I've heard of
Joe
it.
was actually
I'm from Indiana, actually.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard of it. Yeah, I haven't been there. I've been wanting to go.
Oh, yeah. Well, Joe was trying to film B-roll at the house up in the floor where the dolls are and the Ouija boards. And he kept coming down to the command center because, see, we actually have a command center that actually runs all of our stuff. We have all our computers in there, the DVR system, everything, so that way we don't have to put it inside the location. We just put it in the trailer. Well, he comes down and he's like, battery's dead. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, battery's dead. So I'm like, okay, well, I gave him another battery. He goes up there, comes back, battery's dead. I'm like, dude, these are fully charged, and they've been charging, and they're still on the charger while we're here. He went through every single battery I had, and the cards didn't work either.
Ugh.
So we figure out what the heck was going on. All of a sudden, it's like none of our cards worked. None of my batteries worked. And the funny thing is, Paula wound up going with him, and when she did, everything worked. I can't explain that.
I've been there.
We bothered to tell Jason that I'm a sensitive and empath.
Oh, we'll see. There you go.
There you go. So you have a little, you have a little bit of, you don't want to call it psychic, but a little bit of an empath ability.
Yes.
So go ahead.
I mean, say I don't see them, but I can go into like a room if I'm fully aware of my surroundings. We have been to some locations where you don't put your emotions, and you find out from a learning experience. Like I said, I'm still learning from what I have. I don't fully commit to what I have, but I have been into locations where I have felt sadness, I have felt anger, I have felt absolutely knowing that I was in a location and I did not feel alone. I have felt confused. Like I have been into a room to where I felt like there was confusion in the room, where it felt like it was being cluttered. But as far as me having any hearing them, seeing them, no.
But you might one day. Oh, there's my echo.
I don't.
The reason I say that is because, I've always said I'm an empathic, and I can hear, I can feel these things like that. But I swear, the more you do it, you might actually one day get some hearing, or or you might see something and nobody else sees it. I warn this of investigators that I believe are empathic like you and like me, that the more you do it, the more you delve into the paranormal and open that communication up, you might experience more of that kind of ability.
Yeah, that's about true.
And like you, I kind of struggle away from it too.
Yeah, she kind of freaks me out on some of her stuff. I mean, she actually can get the feelings of sadness and depression, and she's been validated on this. We were doing a roundtable at the Weldon Manor about 2 years ago, and she started feeling really, really sad and started crying crying.
That was my very first experience, and I didn't know what was going on because
We thought you were nuts.
Well, the deal is, prior to us starting doing our own investigations and getting away from the negative in my life, that's when I started experiencing stuff that I had never experienced before. And a lot of people had told me that I had gotten rid of the emotional baggage in my life is the reason why I started feeling and experiencing what I have. And I've had a lot of people tell me that are psychics, mediums, and everything that tell me that you have a gift, and yeah, you're at a learning stage in your gift, but keep working with it because it will open, just like you just said, you open it up more. And one of those, I take it little baby footsteps at a time.
For me, the reason I don't go down that path, and I've had some weird stuff, man. I've known somebody by holding a photo. I knew somebody's name. That's the first time I actually heard something like that. You know, I knew the person's first name and last name, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to do that. Because for me, I'm fine with having mediums on investigation, but I don't want to be the one that's the medium or getting insight. I want facts and evidence, and that's just where my brain goes, even though these things seem to happen to me. One of the things, though, I see as a problem with people that might be empathic like us is the danger of what I call a walk-in, or something that kind of, like you said, you were crying uncontrollably. I've experienced this with Judy that's been on the show a bunch of times as an investigator with me. She had a moment where she never thought she was psychic at all, but she would do stuff, and I always tell her, and other mediums would tell her, she has an ability. She just stopped, froze, and was stuck, in a position, and I'm like, Judy, and then later to find out she lost a whole night's worth of memories. So there's a danger. Do you guys fear, especially you, Paula, that you open yourself up more to this, that you could have that kind of, I call it negative, because not having a blackout of what you did and what you were saying and doing is, to me, negative, scary.
Well, I try to keep most of the control. I do, when we go into a location, I don't completely open myself up. I'm still kind of, how I put it this way, I'm one of those, I put a shield up. And I feel like, I will open up, but then I feel like if I feel insecure about the situation, I'll feel like I'll visualize putting myself back into a bubble. And I'm like, okay, I feel uncomfortable about doing this. I felt, and I just I visualize I know this sounds crazy, this sounds stupid, but I visualize myself closing back up, putting myself inside of a bubble to where if there's something there I'm afraid it's going to touch me or hurt me or make it psychological issue, I back away.
That's good.
I've learned that a couple of times. And I've learned that a couple of times, and I've had a couple of people to kind of teach me, if you feel like you're not comfortable, this is how you need to back away and recenter yourself. Because you can, the paranormal can deal with you emotionally, psychologically, physically, and you don't want to put yourself into that realm. And so I've learned to open myself a little bit. That's the reason why I can't, when I tell you I can't hear them, I can't see them or whatever, because I think initially, personally, myself, I will not let myself do it.
We do have a caller. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because if I do, it'd be, I don't want to deal with that psychological endeavor.
It's dangerous. I think it can be dangerous for people if they do let it in too much. We do have a caller on the line. We got Zach on the line, our regular caller on our show. He's always got great questions. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, Jason. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Rob. How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
How's it going?
Well, it's very nice to meet both of you. It's going pretty good. 2 questions for you. My first question is, I watch the paranormal shows, and what I noticed is that a lot of them bring that makes it stand out from others. Like, say, for example, when Ghost Hunters first started, their central focus was actually debunking paranormal or claims of it. You're
cutting out, Zach. We're losing you.
Yeah, he's cutting out real bad.
Yeah. You still there, Zach?
Okay. I just wanted to ask, in your
shoot, we're losing him.
Your opinion, what would be your
Wow.
Uh-oh. Try again, Zach. One more time. See if you can ask your question.
Okay. In your opinion, what would Karen would include in your show that makes it stand out from others?
Guess what?
So you're basically asking what makes us different from other shows?
I think that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
It was, yeah.
Your show?
We primarily are basically almost like a documentary style. We do our interviews. We go in and investigate. We film. And the deal is, if we don't get any evidence, then our episode basically going to dwell on the history of that location, so our viewers can actually be like, hey, you know what? You guys didn't get anything there, but maybe we can. Maybe my team can. And plus, I like the history, how it's rich in history, and it would be really cool for us to actually go there and check it out. Like I told Jason earlier during this broadcast, I was like, you're not really going to get something every single time you go to a location like they show in all the TV shows. I mean, that's just a facade. It's a farce. I mean, there's no ghost that's going to be working at a time clock going, hey, I'm working today, Bob. I'm going to go ahead and scare people.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to get something every single time you go to a location. I mean, if you do, that's incredible, but we have not gotten something every time we go someplace, have we?
I don't know, but we keep it real.
Well, yeah, we keep it real.
Exactly. I mean, I always compare it to, I've said it a billion times on the show, but I always compare it to fishing. Sometimes they bite and sometimes they don't. And you just enjoy your time trying to get them to.
Yeah, and then besides that, we're not staging.
Right.
We don't have camera tricks. We're complete. We're raw. We're extreme, and
We think outside the box.
Well, you think outside the box.
I do think outside the box.
And of course, like I stated earlier, we really dig into our evidence before we actually hand it out there, because we want to make sure we're not going to get ripped apart for something that we put out there.
Well, thank you, Zach, for calling in. Sorry you were choppy tonight. We only had the one Skype line available, and sometimes that one's hard on the internet.
Especially tonight.
Yeah.
I do apologize for that. Thank you so much, Gavin and Paula, for answering my question. I greatly appreciate it. I'm very excited to see your show. Definitely want to see
Good question.
Thanks, Zach. You have a great night.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's
Have a good Labor Day.
Yeah. Everybody's on the internet, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Just weird technical problems tonight. Even my 2-year-old, or 2 years, my soon-to-be 6-year-old son, 2 years doing this show, he's never come downstairs and made it all the way up to the studio, into the studio. And this time he did. I'm like, really? Tonight? It must be the night.
I don't know. It's so bad. I've actually killed 3 spiders, and I'm seeing a few more. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why is this room filled with spiders all of a sudden?
You know, that's weird, because I did have some here, too. Now, I know I got spiders in my basement, but I had like 4 crawl across here. I've never seen before like this many. I'm like, what is going on tonight? Wow, this is a weird night.
Right. The full moon?
Yeah. Me and my wife were talking about that before the show. Well, let's get back to you guys. So, you know, what is your favorite place so far that you've investigated, like, just, like, blew you away? I know that's a hard one.
Oh, yeah, because we've been a lot of places.
Yeah,
you want to go ahead and... I know what your favorite one is. Just St. Albans Sanatorium.
St. Albans Sanatorium?
That's her favorite one.
I think we were showing the video from your channel up earlier. I think Jeff had that up. I think that's what it was St. Albans.
Yeah. I would try to say my favorite one would be the one that we got the most evidence and I mean, the sad part is St. Albans would be a good choice for me also because I got kicked in the shin and scratched.
Ooh.
She got scratched on the back at the Malvern Manor in Malvern, Iowa. Joe got scratched at the Hartford City Jail. Gosh, let's see.
I've had a lot of investigators scratched around me. I've luckily never been scratched.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the other things is Old South Pittsburg Hospital. Joe was walking toward the x-ray room, and all of a sudden he just stopped cold. He's like, dude, I feel like I just walked into a brick wall. I mean, I can't go any further. I got a weird feeling about this, and I don't want to mess with it. And I was just like, get out of the way. I'll do it. So I walked on in there, and I put a recorder in between two Ghost Meter Pros on the x-ray table. As I turn around and make my way back toward the door, I feel two hands on my back completely push me out of the x-ray room. Camera guy watching the DVR in the command center, and he's like, did you trip? I'm like, there's nothing to trip on. I was pushed out of the doorway.
Wow.
I mean, there's nothing to get tripped on. I mean, it's a flat surface, and I went right through the threshold. I was like, holy crap.
So they did not want you in there, obviously.
Well, yeah, but see, Joe has dealt with a lot of evil things, and he kind of knows when something is bad, and he doesn't want to instigate it or go any further. And he stated that it felt like that he walked into a brick wall, and he knows this feeling, and he does not want to pursue it. So that's the reason why I kind of got cocky and said, get out of my way, I'll go in here. Yeah.
Sounded like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. I got my punishment. Out the door I went.
You guys talked about being scratched. You talked about being pushed. I mean, how often is that for you guys to have something physical happen to you like that?
Not often. It's just really odd. Well, she got scratched up in the Malvern Manor because she was in a room with Hank or Henry? Hank. He likes to taunt women. And she was up there not really taunting or provoking. She was just saying, I hear you like to hurt women. You like doing that? Next thing you know, she goes, I have a burning sensation on my back. And I'm just like, yes, you got scratched. And she goes, I'm not sharing your enthusiasm.
That would have been me too, though.
Yeah.
You talk about the burning sensation. I always say that's the biggest clue to getting a ghost scratch. It feels like a cat scratch. It burns is what everybody always describes when they say it happens to them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what Joe said. He was like, I feel a burning sensation on my back. And sure enough, he lifted up his shirt, and we could see a scratch going straight down from his neck.
Yeah, I've been with investigators when it's happening, and they'll be right away be like, and it's like they don't really feel the initial scratch happen. It just starts to burn, and then it, like, puffs up, like you see it. And then it goes away quickly, it usually seems like.
Yeah. Well, hers stayed for the longest time.
I've seen that, too. I've seen him stay, too. I've seen him scar. I've seen him scar people, actually.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I've heard when we were at the Hartford City Jail, there was a young girl that was doing the tour, and they were down in the dungeon. And let's see, was it Dave Allen or Alan? Dan. It was Dan. Dan was talking about the history and stuff down in the dungeon. And when they were getting ready to leave, the girl went ahead and looked at her arm, and she had bite marks. Somebody bit her on the arm.
Those are the creepiest to me. I could handle getting scratched, which hasn't happened to me. So for once, when I was listening to the Exorcism audio in my car, I did get a scratch that was like a ghost scratch, but I tried not to think about that. But the bite marks, wow. I've seen people with the bite marks, and that to me is the creepy. I mean, just for any human, not a ghost, just a human to bite me, it creeps me out. Like, 'cause the nastiest thing is your mouth, right. But that for a ghost to do it, just something that you can't see, putting its teeth into you. Oh, that creeps me out. That would make me. That's one thing that will make me walk out of a door in investigation if I got bite marks. I'd be like, I'm done for tonight. I'm at least done for tonight.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Now,
But we've been a lot of places. I mean, we've been to the far reaches of Anaheim, California, to Queen Mary. We've investigated there. And then, of course, all the way up to Radford, Virginia, to the St. Albans Sanatorium, far south to Corpus Christi, Texas, to the USS Lexington.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, everything in between. We've been to Ashmore Estate, Waverly Hills, Weldon Manor.
It's my bucket list you're naming, man. I don't get to travel. I got kids, and I don't get to travel right now. My job doesn't really allow it, so I do this show. But, man, you're naming my bucket list of places I want to go to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the places that we've got coming up, we're going to be going to the Hinsdale House in New York. We're going to the Randolph County Asylum in December. We've been to Jailhouse Pizza. We've been to the Hartford City Jail, Hartford City Speakeasy, the Monroe House, the Malvern Manor. God, where else have we been?
Of course, OSPH.
OSPH, lots of times. We will be going to the Edinburgh Manor in February. And I do believe we are going to be part of SuperCon 2018 at the Edinburgh Manor in February, I'm thinking. We've been talking about it. But let's see, other places. We are going to be going to the Wrigley Mansion next year. We've got the Janice Theater. We have the Avon Theater. We've got a couple jails. We're going to the Mansfield Penitentiary. Well, actually, the Ohio State Penitentiary. Missouri State Penitentiary. So, yeah, we got a lot of places that we are going to be hitting next year. Waverly, yes. Mm-hmm. Again.
My video guy, Jeff here, has got a video playing right now of yours. It says, DVR camera moves on its own, the Monroe House teaser.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome.
Let me go ahead and he's pulling up here on the screen. What was that about at the Monroe House with the camera moving?
Well, we got done. All the cameras were already set up. And what happened is I got done putting the motion sensors down. Now, we've got a lot of sponsors, and we're using new devices from Paratronics. And this is a 360 motion detector with static detector. So it's actually, if it detects motion, that thing's going to go off.
That's awesome.
Well, we are all leaving after I got done placing it. I was first. Paula was behind me. Joe was behind her. And we just played follow the leader, walked on down the hall and out the door. Well, if you watch the video, you see me saying, I'm asking Paula for a Mountain Dew. And she turns around because she hears the REM going off. I didn't hear it because I was heading out the door. And then Joe puts down the camera, and they're just sitting there in the living room just kicking it. I go out to the command center. I was telling Matt, which was our special guest investigator, Matt Benton,
we know Matt,
that
yes.
I just got done putting these 360 motion sensors down. And I go, oh, look, it's going off. And he's like, yeah, it is. And all of a sudden, the camera in the center started moving. He goes, whoa, are they moving the camera? I'm like, no, they're sitting in the living room. Funny thing is, he picks up the radio, and he's like, hey, are you guys moving the camera? I'm like, the radio's on me. He's like, crap. Puts the radio down. Joe picks up his camera because he comes running into the house, and he puts the camera on Matt. She's like, did you guys move the camera? I'm like, no. Because that camera just freaking moved, and it did. It actually moved all by itself, and nobody was there to move it. And the thing is, when you watch the video, you will see that we have our cameras clamped on, so they are tight.
Right now.
And we wrap the cable around the pole, and we have enough slack leading away from the stand. Because that way, if anybody trips over it, it's not going to interfere with the camera and pull it down. But yeah, the camera moves all by itself.
I've had that happen on investigation. You just are like, and it sucks too when it happens to the camera because it's like I wanted to have something else in front of the camera so I can see it. That's the only thing that always gets me about it because I've had it twice where a camera's moved and I couldn't explain it, and it's like, dang it! Now do I have to have a camera on the camera?
Yeah, right. But here's one thing: did you notice we use mic stands because I'm a musician. We use the metal piece with the mic stand clamps, and we clamp on our stuff. Now, think about it. When you watch that video, you see Matt slam right into it. If that was a camera on a tripod, it would have been destroyed.
Yeah, those things don't stand for nothing. But the heavy metal bass on a mic stand, they can take a little bit of a push, and not fall over.
Oh, he slammed into it, and you can see that it rocked back and forth. Now, here's something that's really cool. Old South Pittsburg Hospital. Our first time there, me and my camera guy were up in OR2, and we're up there doing an EVP session. Paula is down at the main nurse's station by the elevator next to the suicide bathroom. And she is trying to get a hold of me. She's like frantic. And I'm not getting a signal or anything until we're walking out of OR2 and my radio kicks on. And she's like, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I'm like, why? What's up? She goes, we have hardware damage. I'm like, what do you mean hardware damage?
That's not good words to hear.
I know, right? And she's like, I was sitting here, and I saw at the corner of my eye the mic stand go down. I'm like, what do you mean go down? It was the last camera that we were going to hook up, and the thing is, we have the 2 cables that hang off it. So, we had a lot of people going ahead and saying, hey, yeah, someone tripped on a cable or stepped on it, which caused the camera to go down by force. There's nothing connected to this camera. And, I mean, there was enough force to actually shove this mic stand down. The weather covering on the camera shot back, and it cracked right in the center of the IR.
Oh, don't you hate it when the paranormal destroys your equipment? You talk about you talk when you start out with your first high 8 def Sony camera. That was what I started out with as a camera. And there's this one location, and I knew this camera was getting old, but I knew this location had already fried and killed other people's equipment. And I was like, do I take the camera out? This is my baby. I still love her. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to use her. And it was within minutes, it killed the camera. After all the places I've been to, it was dead. It's like, no.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. Yeah. I mean, it's just really bizarre and weird how things can happen like that. Like our Furby, we took it to St. Albans, and we had it in Jacob's room. And if you'll see when you watch the episode, the Furby is getting interacted with, and it spins. I mean, that sucker moved in so many. I mean, it was fast. Joe was going through the evidence, and he's watching it, and it's like 2 frames, and that damn thing spun. So
that's crazy.
Since then, our Furby has not been the same. It's like totally changed its personality. The eyes stay partway shut. It's shot.
It fried it. It fried the Furby.
Pretty much, yeah. It did.
There's a question in chat. Christy's in chat. She just recently went to St. Albans and wanted to know what you guys thought of St. Albans.
I love St. Albans.
I like it. I mean,
we've been there twice to investigate, and technically speaking, we have not done really a thorough investigation there.
It's too huge.
Yeah, I mean, we've had huge place.
We've had to focus just on, certain parts, and then we come back and do another investigation, and because our first episode of St. Albans is actually based on two investigations put together in one show, because the fact is there's so much social interaction going on, and activity was going on before we even had the chance of finish setting up. I mean, we had gotten maybe 2 DVR cameras up, and we started having stuff going crazy right and left, and we had to stop setting up just so that we can capture evidence.
Well, I know
or experience stuff.
I know one thing when we first got there for the first time, and I was setting up base camp. This is before we had the command center. We had the command center on the second time up there because we were actually shooting a movie too. But I was setting up base camp in that far corner of the main entrance. When you walk in where it says keep out, we were on the far left in that big, huge room there. And I had no light yet. and I swore that out of the corner of my eye, I saw a woman dressed in a nurse's outfit, and she was staring at me.
Oh wow!
But then when I shook my head and took a double take, she was gone. But I'm like, okay, I'm being watched. This is awesome. First thing I did was get light in the dang room.
It's like you're gonna do it when I don't have my camera on. Thank you. I've had that happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Well, we didn't see the goat man, but we heard plenty about it. We had some weird stuff happen down in the bowling alley. I'm sure you know the story about what's her name? The girl?
Oh, I don't.
Gina Hall. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She was murdered or something like that. And let's see, we had the Echovox going, and Joe was running it, and the next thing you know, it started spouting out different things, and I'm not really going to go into detail. You can, it'll be in the episode coming out on Halloween, but it was really phenomenal what the Echovox said and how it tied into that location, and it just totally blew our minds. But there's just a lot of things that, there's a lot of stories there. There's a lot of rooms. The place is a freaking maze. You've got a basement. You have a sub-basement. And then you've got this one area where the two basements kind of sort of get connected together, but not really. But I tell you what, if you don't have a map, you can get lost in that place.
I bet. It seems like it's a ginormous place.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is going to be, and this one will be you said your Halloween episode?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so the show, we're going to talk a little bit about that because we're going to run out of time, so I want to talk a little more about that. That's going to start at October 26th is when it releases on Amazon?
October 31st, Halloween.
On Halloween. So that'll be your first premiere episode.
Yep, it's going to premiere on Halloween. However, people that come to the Haunted Bourbon in New Orleans on October 27th through the 29th are actually going to watch the season premiere there live before it goes to Amazon. We're doing that for people that actually buy a ticket.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so people that buy a ticket and mention us, Gavin Kelly or Paula Purcell, they're going to get an autographed picture plus also VIP seating to the premiere of the season.
Now, how many episodes are going to be? I saw in your bio you say there's a first season planned starting in October 31st, and there's one starting like February 27th will be your second season. So, how many episodes are in the first?
Well, we're basically testing out the waters right now. We're going to have a total of 4 for the first season. We would have had a lot more, but we had a hard drive crash the backup hard drive. And here's the sad thing is everybody says, you got to back up your stuff. Okay, well, I did. I backed it up. Oh. Well, the hard drive fried.
Oh.
So we lost. What lost was basically the interviews, the walkthroughs, which is really no big deal because we are actually going to go back and do re-interviews and walkthroughs. That's really all we need. Everything else is there. The investigation footage is all there. Some of the B-roll is there.
That's the important part. The evidence, that would have broke me, man, to lose that, but it still sucks, you have to redo all that. So you guys doing this on Amazon, going to have a show, if you guys go big with this, like it does happen, there's some of these paranormal shows, we got a lot, there's definitely a community of people that love watching these shows, are you afraid about it, changing you guys any, or,
no. I've heard in a roundabout kind of way, Netflix is waiting in the wings. They want to see how we do and what the ratings are for Amazon. I'm believing that they want to put us on Netflix.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, the streaming services are the new way of TV. I'll tell you what, they're all testing new things in water, so I'll be interested to see. I'll definitely be watching when it comes out. You talk about St. Albans. Where can you tell us what the four episodes are going to be, like where they're going to be at, or is that going to still kind of be a surprise for for what the other places are for the other episodes?
Oh, well, the first episode is going to be St. Albans Sanatorium. The second one's going to be Old South Pittsburg Hospital. The third one's going to be Jailhouse Pizza. And the fourth one is going to be the Monroe House.
That's going off a bang there, because those are some pretty incredible locations I've heard. And now you say you don't always get evidence, episodes and stuff, that you're going to do, because like you said, it's like fishing. You never know when they're going to bite. And I'm not going to make you tell us if you get evidence in any of these episodes, but the history part of it, what kind of things are we going to be seeing, like what you're going to show us about the history of these places? Because to me, that's one of the most interesting parts of a paranormal show. If they miss the history of it, I feel like I've been let down a little bit.
St. Albans, basically, it's a sanitarium, so we are going to talk and dwell on the sanitarium, and that some of the spirits I have connected to actual true stories of, of people seeing certain things, describing certain patients, and I have done enough thorough investigation, along with working with Marcel and her historical researcher. Between all of us, we finally connected some of the ghost stories to the actual people. We know that was a school before it was a sanitarium. It's carried on St. Albans from the all-boys school into the all-girls school. Or not the all-girls school, but to the sanitarium part. OSPH Hospital in Pittsburg, Tennessee. There is a reference to what the land was before the hospital was built on it. Talk about the plantation. Talk about how the Civil War influences in that area. Talked about some of the stories that we do have documentation on, one being about the little boy on the second floor. We've got the suicide bathroom there. There is the accountability of the nurse. Several different other little stories that is played out in the episode. I did do research on and can make connections for.
That's awesome.
After they closed down it being a Pittsburg hospital, they did turn it into a facility, a psychiatric facility, for about 5 or 6 years before they permanently closed it down, and it no longer is in there. You'll also see about the famous red convertible that's in there. Jailhouse Pizza, that one. Well,
you thought outside the box on that one.
I did think outside the box on that one, because that was one of those deals. There was a red flag there, and it did not make any sense what people were saying about the location. And I had talked to the owner, and the owner was just, he was one of those that was going off of previous people telling them stories.
I mean, that's what a lot of people that own these locations they go off what they've heard, rumor-wise.
Yeah, and so with the connection that I made and the understanding that, I had with the owners and stuff, what we did for that episode has been very, number one, it's in Muhlenberg, Kentucky. And in Muhlenberg, Kentucky, back in the Brandenburg, Kentucky. And so many locations I can't remember.
Hey, I'm the king of butchering names, so don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad. Muhlenberg County, Brandenburg. Anyway. Would you stop?
Go ahead. I just picked up my guitar.
Anyway, I had, you got me all trying to talk. Well, anyway, it was a tornado situation where a majority of about 40 people had got killed in a severe tornado back in the 1970s. It was about 74, I believe. And within just in 4 blocks of the jail, about 20 people died of the tornado. And I realized that the victims were not of the jail. The victims were of the tornado. So we did a little experiment, which you'll see in the episode, that talks about, we kind of relived the tornado day. We amplified the sound of the tornado and let it sharp through. It ended up vibrating everything. It was just, I was not expecting what I expected. And after we did that, you just have to see the episode.
Yeah. So much for keeping a secret.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the last one is the Monroe House. The Monroe House is, I put it this way, that was the one where me and the owners came together to get questions answered. And Eddie was awesome. And Eddie, he did his own investigating work along with his sister, and I did my investigating work on my half. And we got our stuff together, and we finally solved a mystery. And we finally figured out the clues in the situation because he wasn't too sure exactly what happened. I wasn't too sure exactly what happened because I had found information that he didn't have, and he found information I couldn't have because a lot of times when you do investigations and you're trying to do historical work from a distance, a lot of times when you make those phone calls, a lot of people don't want to talk to you over the phone. And thanks to Eddie's sister, or sister-in-law, she was able to talk to, and she had already done a thorough, some of the land properties research, which is hard to do from a distance, and had combined a book together. And between that and me actually looking at the book and reading the information that she obtained and what I obtained from stories and newspaper articles and everything like that, we had found some answers and can validate a few things that was being told about the place that the majority of it's true.
That's awesome. Like I said, the history the echo comes back right at the end. But the history to me is the most important, like I said, and so that's what I'm be really interested to see with your guys' show. It sounds like it's going to be awesome that you get to really delve deep into some of the stories of these places. Along with trying to get evidence. We only got a couple minutes left. One thing is you mentioned before that you have sponsors. What's some of the unique paranormal equipment you might be using or that you're going to be using on the show?
We're currently using devices from Syntex Technologies, which is the MF1, which is now called the Eddy or the Eddy Plus. We use devices from Paratronics, which are REM pods and motion detectors. We've got 360 Fly, which is our 360 cameras, and going into production wise, I mean, we've got Glide Gear, which gives us all of our rigs, which you see back here. You don't get to see it.
We don't see it. Sorry.
Oh man, but yeah, we've got Tascam is our main sponsor right now, and we get our digital recorders through them, and we've gotten some phenomenal evidence and recordings by using their technology and their digital recorders. We've got their headphones, we've got the recorders. Heck, right now I'm using the Tascam US-42, which is broadcasting to you guys. That's how we're doing our connection. That's why everything sounds so cool.
Except for the echo, I don't know why I'm getting that. It comes and it goes. It comes back. It's so weird. It's the night we're having. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Any last things you want to share with the audience, or website? Get all that out there.
Well, right now our server is having issues because it's actually out in Texas, and the big old storm's going out there. We lost our DNS, so basically the website now is gavincountry.wix, which is wix.com/ let's see, it's In the Shadows Entertainment Group, so it's just the first letter of each word.
Yeah, awesome. And then October 31st, we're going to check you out on Amazon to see Paranormal Journey into the Unknown with Gavin Kelly and Paula Purcell. I'm excited to see it, guys. This is awesome, and thank you so much for coming on the show. After the show comes out, I'd love to have you guys back on and talk more. Maybe we can get you on video. We'll figure out how to get that working right. Maybe it's just tonight.
Well, thank you for having us. We enjoyed it. We had a blast.
You're welcome.
And good luck with the show. And like I said, after the show's been, maybe after the first season, we'll get you on and talk more about, because then I'll get to actually watch the episodes, and we can talk about some of the stuff that happens. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
All right, guys.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for being on. All right, guys, we're at the end of the show time here. Next week, we don't have a guest. Me and Jamie were talking before the show. We think we're going to try to do open lines, not ITC. That's going to be at the end of the month, our ITC live sessions and that. We'll be back with that. It'll be September 24th, but September 10th, next Sunday, we are thinking about doing open lines, maybe a subject. A lot of conspiracy theories going around lately. We had a doomsday show before. Maybe we should do a show on what conspiracy theories you believe are really true. Or do you believe in the planet Nibiru? Do you believe your government's trying to kill you? I don't know. We're thinking, but it would be a night for you guys to call into the show on a number of different ways. We'll have all the phone lines open for that. It'll be the Paranormal Soup team, and we're just gonna have a fun night, discuss whatever topic we're gonna focus on that night. I'm not sure yet. We're still kind of trolling around ideas of what we want to discuss that night. I'm thinking conspiracy theories. What's your favorite conspiracy theory, or the ones you fear the most? I have a few conspiracy theories that I can think of that I hope are just not true. All right. Well, thank you guys. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Check us out on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network.com. You can go to there and listen to us live. You can also watch us at Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup's Facebook page. You can also check out the old archives of our show on our YouTube channel. Just type in Jason Bland or Paranormal Soup and you'll find it there. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.